The Ohio State Buckeyes took care of business in convincing fashion yesterday against the Purdue Boilermakers by a score of 45-0. There was a lot of good. There was some bad. We dive into it next here on the Buckeye Breakdown podcast.
We've got the whole crew together as we cover Ohio State with our instant analysis from Ohio State.
There's something that doesn't feel right.
Unbelievable effort from him today. Is E.J. Liddell going to crack the first team All Big Ten?
I think he can be the guy. I'm not trying to start a quarterback controversy.
He seems to have the durability. He certainly has the toughness. This is the question on a lot of people's minds here. Welcome to Buckeye Breakdown.
Well, welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the Buckeye Breakdown podcast. Anthony Moeglin here alongside my partner and former Buckeye, Kevin Woidke, and this is our favorite episode of the week. We're diving into the film room today as the Ohio State Buckeyes took care of business in convincing fashion yesterday against the Purdue Boilermakers. They beat them soundly 45-0. And Kevin, when we talked earlier in the week, there's something that's been sticking in my mind, and I'm excited to ask you about. Your biggest key to the game when we talked on Thursday was for Ohio State to just dominate, right? Just from start to finish, just get out there, dominate the football game. And I want to get your perspective. We haven't talked about this. What was your reaction? You know, the score says it was domination, but what did your eyes tell you?
You know, yes and no. They missed a couple field goals that would have had it probably be 45-6, but that's still domination in my eyes. Maybe some play calling issues on the goal line, but that's our defense doing what our defense does. Not as many 3-and-outs as I wanted. I told you I wanted 5. I think there was 2 maybe. But I'd rather see those guys get off the field a little bit sooner. But, you know, if this is how they want to play, that's how they're going to do it.
So that was kind of my thought, too. It's like, all right, we're in week 11 now. This you know, the kind of the book is out. You know, you know who you are. You know what your identity is. And maybe it is for Ohio State. Maybe for this Ohio State defense it is. You know, give it up, give a little bit. And then when you get inside the 20, kind of ratchet those straps down, man, and make it really challenging. And it is. It's a little bit harder when the offense does get into the red area, just because think about it. When you're at the 40-yard line, you have 50 yards of field lengthwise to work with. When you're at the 20, you only have 30 yards. When you're at the 10, you only have 20 yards. Even when you get lower than that, the field just shrinks down and down and down, and that last defender, which is that back end line, becomes more in play. And Ohio State really does, and maybe that's going to be their calling card as they get ready to kind of get into the playoff here and really start playing some meaningful football games coming up. So, Kevin, a quick little whip around, because there was a lot that happened yesterday in college football. So the Indiana escapes with a tight victory against Michigan. You called one. The Miami Hurricanes get upset down at Georgia Tech. Georgia gets thumped by Ole Miss. Alabama looks like they figured everything out and just totally, you know, curb stomped the LSU Tigers. Any big major takeaways nationally from you? Because that was a pretty crazy Saturday yesterday.
Yeah, I think that I don't know if impressed is the right word. Michigan played well. Brian Kelly.
How did he make it to the locker room, dude? Like, I would have, like, I'm not a big Brian Kelly fan. I don't think there are many Brian Kelly fans.
I don't even know if Brian Kelly's a big Brian Kelly fan. I mean, don't even get me started on that. I texted my buddy Nate Brock, who's the tight ends coach at Georgia Tech. I'm like, you're going to whomp them today. I'm like, they should have lost to Virginia Tech. I mean, I've been saying it all year. I don't think Miami is anything. And you know, Georgia Tech is basically this year's Purdue. Remember when Purdue would always go in and just ruin people's seasons? Like they went on a tear 2 or 3 years ago where they knocked off like 3 teams, knocked them out of bowl contention or knocked them out of the top 25. And we were one of them. And it was that Rondell Moore freshman season. They just went absolute sicko mode. It's crazy. And that's Georgia Tech this year. I mean, they went to Dublin, stomped out Florida State, and then they brought the U to Atlanta and ripped down the goalposts. I mean, that's just what happened.
It was impressive by them because they almost let Miami do what Miami's been doing all year and let Cam Ward be Superman and win a game that Miami shouldn't win. But Miami's flaws as their competition gets better and better, like, are going to become much more evident. They can't play defense. They just simply cannot do it. And their entire offense is based on their quarterback and him literally playing superhero ball. So, they fell. Notre Dame had a big win at night. And then BYU, late at night, I'm sure many of us, if you're Ohioans like Kevin and I are, I tried my best. I fell asleep in the third quarter. But BYU, you're going to wake up to BYU 22, I believe it was 22-21. Or 23-21, something like that. But a walk-off field goal for the BYU Cougars to stay undefeated and to keep their playoff hopes, well alive. Like, this is a group that maybe if they don't even win the Big 12, they may get a nod here because they may have one loss on their schedule. So a ton of fun stuff that happened yesterday in college football. But Buckeye specific, let's dive right in here. One of the things that kind of caught my attention yesterday was the fact that Purdue was able to run the football a little bit. It's something that you and I talked about, them being able to. Huckabee was a 6-yard per carry guy throughout the year, and he finished yesterday, or excuse me, not Huckabee, Moeglin finished yesterday 13 carries for 73 yards, a tick under his yearly average, but 5.6 yards a carry and early on, and it started right away. This is the very first play of the game. Right away, he got things going with a nice gash run. It's something that Ohio State's going to have to continue to improve upon here as the season kind of goes to the finish line.
Yeah, he was a tough runner. You see Cody come in here with an arm tackle and just couldn't bring him down. I mean, this was a strong kid. He just ran it well. They did a little center guard exchange there where the center just ran straight up to. I think that's Sonny Styles on the bottom, and then the guard pulled around. It was a little. I don't even know the right terminology.
A little trap action. It looked
little
like
trap, little GC.
Yeah.
And then they were trying to be creative, which they were. The tight end fills in well, takes that 3 technique down, and it's a well designed play.
And one of the things that I picked up on, Kevin, and we'll talk about it here as this game progresses, but Purdue felt like they were just trying to squeeze the air out of the ball, right? They had a couple drives here, and this first one specifically, but there was one later on in the game where they had a 13-play, 30-yard drive that lasted 7 minutes. They moved like hardly a third of the field in 7 minutes of football. And like when you're trying to pull an upset off, like that's the stuff you got to do. And truth be told, when we got to the end of the first quarter, it felt weird. Ohio State was up 7-0. They couldn't really figure anything out. And Purdue was just like choking the ball down. They really were. But first, this drive here. So it starts with a nice run, and then Purdue is able to push it towards midfield. Cody Simon, while he played another really, really good game, he got it going here with a huge pressure as he comes. He kind of wraps around the top of the screen, and they get to the quarterback. He meets JT, and that's just a race to the quarterback here. And this was really good. Purdue had some momentum. They were driving at 2nd and 4. They're probably trying to take a shot here, max protect, and Cody and JT met at the quarterback to kind of snuff all that out.
Yep. I mean, you can see it. This is where the pressure comes in because number 9 is open right there, and one doesn't make it through his progression enough because that's a first down.
Yep.
And then you got Cody coming over the top. And I think it's that JTT as well.
JTT coming at the bottom. But like here, Cody starts here. There's a couple of these yesterday. And one thing that I do want to say about Hudson Card is that he's not like Lamar Jackson elusive. He was just elusive in the pocket. And he actually was, he had a couple plays. We'll see one here coming up where he was able to get out and make some yards. And by the second half, Ohio State was trying to like spy him. And you can kind of see, watch Cody's demeanor on this play here. He's almost like in spy mode where he's like, all right, I'm triggering kind of. All right, now I'm going, like a green dog almost, where he was like a little delayed blitz. And it took some time to get there. But when he pulled the trigger, man, he shut off that edge. And JT was able to be that bookend on the other side.
Right. Yeah. No, that was a very well designed front.
All right. So 3rd and 14 on this first drive. This is like screams screen down, right? This is like screen draw for Purdue. They don't want to go back more. They don't want to throw an interception. And this is like big time screen down. So what do? They do run a screen play. And frankly, like they have this set up. They caught Ohio State in a blitz, right? You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then just look at this picture here. You see the demeanor of Ohio State's secondary. Like this is very clearly man coverage. man coverage. And why that's important is everybody's eyes are just locked on their guy. They're not looking at the football. And you can see that. You can't see it in our screen here, but that's the case up top. So if they can get Sonny blocked on this has potential, right? Even right now, if Sonny's blocked right here, this doesn't have potential to go for a home run, but I do think this has potential to be a first down. With all that said, I think Sonny Styles makes an awesome play here.
I agree. I gave Sonny some heat
Tough
last
love?
week. Yeah, tough love heat last week. Right here, where the tackle or guard messes up is he doesn't keep his feet moving. He hits him, launches him off, and then stops his feet. Whereas when you make contact with the linebacker, you got to keep your feet running. Otherwise, this will happen. They'll bounce off of you, and then I think they both hit him at the same time, and they get stuck on each other a little bit. And you're in a screen. You're not supposed to have two people blocking one guy for that exact reason. You don't want anyone getting clipped up out there, slowed down. Just get one guy, have one guy handle it, and have the running back make him right.
And then too, then you potentially have another guy for the now free runner. You see Hancock coming into the picture. Maybe you're able to get this, to combo this to one guy, and now 53 or somebody can get up to 7 to make it even a bigger play.
I agree.
That said, I think Sonny makes an awesome play on this one to get there and just get him down. Sometimes you get caught in a screen and it can be tough, but I think he does a really nice job of fighting leverage and getting the ball carrier down and forcing a punt. So credit to Purdue. They punt one down here and they pin Ohio State actually inside the 5. Or right just outside the 5. You see the first down markers on the 16-yard line here. So ball started here on the 6. And a conversation we're going to have continually throughout the show here is Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson. They didn't get much action together yesterday, but on first down, they had a nice little couple-yard carry, couple-yard gain. And then Purdue, I was scratching my head at this because they come out, and this is very clearly cover one, where cover one is just man with one high safety. That's where the one comes from. There's one high safety, and then there's a robber in the middle here. I would never single cover Jeremiah Smith. I don't know, but they decide to do this, and here's the result.
They still cover, and that safety bites. There wasn't even a play action. Why did he come up?
He's at 7 yards? He's at 7 yards depth from the line of scrimmage. This guy can make no play here. He can make no play here. There's nothing he can do.
Right, and then you got the guy on the 10-yard line in no man land. This is also phenomenal protection. That's the definition of a pocket right there.
Look at that.
That's beautiful. You see, you had the one guy, the robber was covering Travion man on. Rushing 5, thinking you're going to get home. I don't know. That's an interesting thing. Just a quick pass. He doesn't hold the ball long here. Maybe 1 to 2 seconds.
It's from a quarterback's perspective. Yes, this pocket is fantastic, and I also think for Will, this is as decisive as he's ever been. Right? He knows he's going left. He knows he's throwing it to Jeremiah. We saw him later in the game miss on a few more long balls because he waited too long. Give Jeremiah a chance. He throws this. This is a fade route. This is a vertical route. This is a fade. And this ball is coming out of Will's hands where Jeremiah is 5 yards off the line of scrimmage. This is a decisive decision where he gets onto the top of his drop. The pocket's perfect. And then he throws a very accurate ball because he's in rhythm. That's a perfect throw. Remember back a few weeks ago where he threw an interception to Jeremiah where, what did we talk about? Jeremiah got squeezed into the sidelines and didn't give the quarterback any room to throw. Well, Jeremiah does a better job. Look, he's right here. He's trying to hold that box. Remember, we had that box conversation.
Yep.
He's trying to hold that box and push that corner's leverage inside to give your quarterback some room. It helps when your quarterback drops a dime out there. And this was the record catch. So this gave him the catches record for rookies, or for freshmen in a season. And he, again, was spectacular yesterday. But this was a huge play. When you're backed up like this, Kevin, to get some space from your own end zone was a massive play.
Oh, yeah. You got to get out of there. That's what it is. They always talk about 2 first downs. Because the goal is to get 20 yards downfield during the maybe not in one chunk play. Ideally, that's how it works, but not always. But this is a great example of getting 2 first downs.
And a great example of 11 guys doing their job. The line blocks it up, the quarterback's on time on target, and then the receiver makes the catch. This is what happens when that's the case. All right, so we're going to do a little fast forward here. A lot of just nothing happened in between there. So you see it 0-0. Ohio State eventually punts the ball back to Purdue, and then Purdue goes 3 and out. And then this is kind of when the Buckeyes got things rolling. So massive play, dude. Special teams is so important. And Caden Curry comes off the edge here with an awesome rush off the side. He blocks it, and it sets Ohio State up 1st and goal from the 6-yard line. But special teams continues to show up, whether it's good for Ohio State or bad. You just every week we're reminded of how important it is.
Yeah, this is schemed up really well. I think 23 is going to have an absolutely terrible time in film because he misses literally everybody. Not a soul. He's in no man's land. He's like, all right, I got to take out one of these guys, and he misses. There's 3 guys. There's a complete whiff. Poor guy. Might want to send him some crumble cookies and make it stay a little better because that's tough.
Review sponsored by Crumble Cookies.
Yeah, no, I mean that's just happiness right there in a box. And I mean you know, Caden makes a good play here where he's sold out for it because, and the other thing is he made the block, but also like if he doesn't get the block here, he doesn't hit the punter.
Mm-hmm. It's a good point. It's a really good point. You see, I'm not sure who 48 is, but that's the hard part for these. Like when you're rushing the punter like this, like you have to, and it's the hardest thing to do. You're running full speed, trying to take a ball off of a punter's foot, but you have to be conscious of that, Kevin. You're so right. He does a really great job of Caden avoids contact. I don't think the other guy does, but it doesn't matter.
Right.
The ball gets tipped up in the air, and for Ohio State, a couple plays ago, they had their heels on their goal line, and now they're set up 1st and goal from the 6-yard line. All right, a bigger conversation for you and I. This play right here is showing the 4th down play. Is it at all discouraging to you that Ohio State had 1st and goal at the 6 and needed 4 plays to get in, or is that a nothing burger? Where do you fall on that?
I mean, it was the Will Howard show. That's where I fall on it. I think that he cut the ball a couple times. I don't know if that was by design, if that was a read that he chose, but I got a text from my buddy Will, old roommate, who said, in quotes,
not Will Howard. Yeah.
No. In quotes, it's Will Howard time - Will Howard. Like it was just it was, and I mean yes and no. I think if he hands this ball off on, I think it was the 2nd or 3rd down, I think we scored 2. But
yeah,
he tripped and fell trying to get into the end zone. And on the 1-yard line, and then that was 3rd down. On 2nd down, he tried to cut the edge and got caught. But I mean, that's just, he's done that a few times this year. I think teams are picking up on the play.
Yeah.
And then here's the 4th down play.
This was giving me shades of last week, but on the flip side, I remember them getting the ball on the 6-yard line, and the first play didn't score. I'm like, oh, they're going to need 4 downs here. I said it out loud, and then we got a motioning guy into the box to go block something, and I'm like, holy cow, did we just take the worst page out of Penn State's book to try to score? But regardless, it's your boy G. Scott. Here he goes. He fits inside, and then I actually, for this one specifically, I wish I had the other clips in here, but I totally agree with you that he was trying to do too much, like just hand the ball to running backs. Right. But on this one, I actually don't mind it because you get an extra blocker inside, and this one's just like this is a willpower play. Like just show.
Oh no, that was designed to not hand the ball off here.
Correct. This one was. Yeah, this one was. There was a read option 2 plays earlier that he pulled. He should have gave it to Quinshawn. Quinshawn would have cartwheeled into the end zone, but instead he pulled it and tried to get it. He was trying to do too much. But this one here, I don't mind. Of like, all right, let's get an extra blocker in there, stuff it behind our 6'4" quarterback, and just figure out a way to get in the end zone.
You can't see it from this angle, but if you go back, the 3 tight ends there make the play. I mean, you got Bennett Christian who just hammers down the whatever up linebacker that is, and then you got Jeremiah who digs out the other guy, and then G comes through and cleans up the edge. But that hole is created by those 2. by those three. Bennett bringing down and Jared. There it is. You can see 85's back, and that's where Quinshawn fits in. Is that hole created by the two tight ends? That's phenomenal blocking.
Tight end 1, tight end 2, tight end 3.
Yeah,
this is a tight end. This is a pro tight end podcast.
Oh, it always has been. Always will be. Get enough love, but that's just the reality of the situation there. That was just great blocking. You know, they got stonewalled a little bit on the line, but wash it down, create a hole, and someone will find it.
Finish it, man, and finish in the paint. I love it. A physical brand of football, and good to see from Ohio State. Okay, now we flip it back to the defensive side of the ball, and here we go. This is, again, Mockabee was solid. Again, busts off a tackle from Cody Simon here. Not many people break this tackle, especially the way Cody's been playing. I mean, we'll take just a second here. I think Cody's been playing very, very well. I mean, the last couple games, especially coming off the Oregon game where everybody was challenged. Again, he led the way in tackles, had 6 yesterday. He had a half sack and a half tackle for loss. I thought he was just kind of flying around again, but misses one here, and Maccabee's able to kind of spin off of it. And this guy runs almost like a one step faster fullback, in my opinion. He wears 45, like he's got gloves on, but no sleeves, no nothing fancy. But he's just a tough ass runner, man. He was kind of fun to watch.
Oh yeah, this is the kind of running back you see dominating in the OHSAA. Like this kind of kid is just. He's a hard-nosed player, doesn't go down to arm tackles, runs through contact, isn't the fastest guy in the world, but plays well.
And just makes yards. Here we go. Look at Ohio State's defensive line. This is resetting the line of scrimmage. You and I talk about this a lot. Yep. Like we get a line reset here, we get line reset. I mean, they're 3 yards in the backfield, but they kind of over pursue, and Purdue does a nice job getting to the second level and sealing it off. There's a massive hole. Like if there's one thing, Kevin, in my opinion, from yesterday, was that Ohio State's run defense was not bad. They weren't bad by any means. I don't want to sound an alarm that doesn't need it, but they only give up 90. They hold them under 100 yards rushing. Like they finished with 98 yards rushing, so they were very good. But just some of these chunk plays early on, were at least a little concerning.
Well, yeah, I mean, we had 3 down linemen a bunch of times. Like, I mean, if you know this team runs the ball, and you have 3 down linemen, like they were maybe trying to try something, they were trying to show something, so teams had to prepare for it. Like, I don't know.
So that's a good point, Kevin, because we talked about this. We talked about this offense. It wasn't like they had burners on the outside, or you're threatened by anybody vertically. Like you're threatened by their run game and their tight end. So that's an interesting point you make about Ohio State being in like a dime look where they have 3 down linemen and 8-ish defensive backs / linebackers.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what it is. Yeah.
And there's a result. of it, a big chunk game. So like you said, maybe they were experimenting with stuff, or maybe they were just trying to, hey, we're trying to do package-specific things. Whatever the case may be, they did give up some chunk runs, but ultimately nothing hurt them too bad. All right, Hudson Card. Thought he was decent-ish yesterday, I guess as decent as he could be against Ohio State. Statistically, not so good. 9 for 19, 108 yards, 1 interception. And then on the ground, he had 6 carries for -9 yards. But in college, they factor in your sack yardages in there. But this play was nice here. Again, Ohio State is in straight man, right? Man-to-man here. Oh, we're getting a load. You're getting man everywhere. Man here, man here, man here. Man here. And what does that mean? You see it in the pros. We're going to see it all day today. When a quarterback's able to break contain against man coverage, there's nothing left. There ain't nothing left. He gets to the outside and is escorted nicely out of bounds by Caleb Downs. But a nice little chunk play here by him.
Whose tackle did he break there? Who came off? Was that Sonny or is that
CJ Hicks? CJ Hicks.
I like CJ. I think this is a good example of why he's probably not out there. Mm-hmm. I think he's just green. I think he's a young guy. I think he's going to be phenomenal. But I think that I'm excited to see as these older guys that came back for their last year. Grateful they did, but these young cats are ready to roll. And him, Caden Curry, I'm excited to see him get majority of snaps next year. I mean, this is just a good example of those guys you're seeing playing that should be impactful for the Buckeyes in the future.
Yeah, and this one's a good one here. We can kind of nerd out on football for just a minute, but the coaching point in this one is for CJ to aim for the top shoulder of the quarterback here. So sometimes if he's facing you, right, it would be this would be the way that he would be rushing me as the quarterback. He'd want to aim for that right shoulder, which is that upfield shoulder, because as you see here, he comes down low inside and gives the quarterback the way to get outside.
Right.
If he is able to blitz this top shoulder of the quarterback right here, he blitzes more north, I would say, then the quarterback can't spin out like that. He has to step up into a whole bunch of mess inside, right? That's that contained thing everybody talks about.
Yep.
He misses it here, and this is what happens when you break contain against man coverage. There's nothing left, and a nice play by Hudson Card gets them going. Purdue's kind of pushing it down the field, and now look right here. This is a good thing to look at, right? We're midway through the first quarter. Obviously, Ohio State had that one drive start at the 6-yard line, but Purdue's gaining some yards. They were gaining some yards, and they didn't stop. Everything was primarily on the run to this point, but they do a nice job up front protecting against Ohio State's pass rush, and they find a really nice completion here to get into this mid red zone.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then into the red zone we go. They push it down into the goal line, and I had asked Jack Sawyer about this on one of the while we were interviewing him after the game yesterday. You can find his press conference on our YouTube channel, but just asked him about what the defense's mindset's like when the offense gets into the red area. They get inside the 20, they get inside the 10-yard line, and this is kind of the point I was making, right? When you're at the 40-yard line, you have 50 yards of space vertically to work with. Right now, Purdue only has so they're on the 3. They only have 13 yards, right, before to score. So Ohio State, all of those dogs on Ohio State's defense can kind of ratchet down a little bit, play a little bit more physical, and just really make an emphasis on keeping these opposing teams out of the end zone. And here we go here as they're on 3rd down. Instead of doing anything, this is like the play I hate the most in the entire world. A 3rd down fade ball. They go with it, and we do a nice job in coverage. No chance at a holding, no chance at anything. This is perfect because it's a chip shot. Like this is, I don't even know chip shot. This is a putt, and I don't have the whole clip there, but he pushes it wide right, and Ohio State again, Kev, for the 3rd week in a row, lets their opponent get down inside the 5-yard line and doesn't give up a point.
Yep. I was going to ask the fade to the end zone. I don't know who made that popular, if it was Calvin Johnson, Randy Moss, those guys, but not everybody's them, and that's why I don't know why everyone keeps running it.
It's the worst. It's, in my opinion, it is the most low percentage hope play. You're either hoping that your receiver makes a spectacular, really hard catch, or you're hoping that there's a penalty on the play. They're not going to call – college refs especially are not going to call a penalty on this. Pro refs might. College refs are never calling a penalty on a fade ball like this, and it's just so dumb. It's a waste of a play. It's just a waste.
Yep.
That's my opinion. You could scheme something up, to try to get a guy open, or you could just say, hey, run straight, quarterback, lob it up, and see what happens. I hate it, but for Buckeyes, it was good yesterday. All right, end of the first quarter, right? There's 8 seconds left. And I will also add, if you had to watch this game at home, Kevin and I kind of talked about this before we started, but I don't know what got into Gus Johnson or why he hates Ohio State so much, but it was egregious in my opinion, just listening to him just not want to be there yesterday.
I think he wanted to be. I think that they're like, oh, Ohio State will put eyes on him, but I don't think he wanted to be at the Ohio State Purdue game. I think he wanted to be at the Colorado Texas Tech game or any other game that was covered by Fox today or yesterday. But yeah, no, that was tough. I think I don't know why this was the big noon kickoff. I don't know why this wasn't like noon on CBS, but that's how they chose to do it. Who knows?
It was shocking. Well, we obviously don't have any of the audio here, but I was like, man, if you don't want to do this so bad, just like give me the headset. I'll go on and at least be a little excited. All right, end of the first half, but this was Travion kind of getting going, and we have a nice sample size of Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins throughout the course of this season. And yesterday, Trey finished with 6 carries for 85 yards and 1 score. He had a couple big chunk plays. And Quinshon, on the other hand, finished 11 carries for 32 yards. And now you're starting to see, like, hey, why is one guy 1A and the other guy 1B? Because in my opinion, I think, and we share in this opinion, Kevin, like Travion brings more to the table, I think, than Quinshon does on a down-by-down basis. But it seems like Quinshon's got the nod as the first back in the backfield.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is maybe for health reasons. That's why they're doing it, because Travion did get banged up a little bit last year, being the multi-down, every down back. Maybe they're just trying to, prolong both of their abilities as long as they can.
Yeah, and that's a good point too, because we're in week 11, but the national title isn't until January 20th. That's in 10 weeks, right? There's so, like, this week's actually, if Ohio State wants to do what Ohio State wants to do, this is the midway point.
Yep.
So you're taking hits off of each other. But I still think they can continue to work on how they're balancing those guys, because I think Trey brings something else that Quinshon doesn't. Okay. Here we go. Starting the second quarter here. One of the things that Purdue was doing, and we'll see a good one of these in a couple minutes, but they were bringing these cat blitzes off the edge, these corner blitzes, anytime that they were pressed into their boundary. And they bring one here, but Ohio State's in the right call. They get outside of it. And this is actually, while Will does some stuff that maybe you scratch your head, this one was really awesome. Normally what you're expecting is this defensive end to chase and get in so you can get outside. But he doesn't, and he's right in phase with him. Will flips his hips, finds JJ across the middle. JJ makes a great catch.
Yeah, it was a good play. I think it was this play where JJ hit his head kind of hard, popped up, and then you saw it the rest of the game. He was kind of avoiding hits.
I didn't even pick up on that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think it was right there. He kind of popped up. It was either this play or the first drive. I can't remember which one, but it was going in this direction. He popped up after one or two of them, and then after that, he would catch and go down. He was doing the Tyler Lockett theory, I guess.
The business decisions, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so a really good catch. I thought, there's not enough superlatives to say about how good he is, especially for how young he is. But this is a really hard catch. You can see him coming across the middle and having to reach behind him to go make this catch. I think this was a spectacular catch and helps Ohio State get a little momentum. They give a little bit of that momentum back, because here comes, again, that cat blitz that we just saw. We're going to get a corner blitz here. Travion misses this block, and we get a huge TFL in the backfield, because, hey, just something Ohio State we really haven't seen. If you're watching this show, you've watched the majority of plays that Ohio State's gone against. We really haven't seen much of this. Just a missed block here in MA, something they'll learn from, but cost Ohio State a bunch of yards.
I played Fox on this one. They showed them blocking on literally the replay right before that, and jinxed them a lot of them.
Is that the sequence it happened in?
That's exactly the sequence it happened in.
That's too good. A big emphasis yesterday, we've talked in the past about the wrinkles that Chip brings every week. This week's wrinkle was putting Ohio State's running backs out in receiver positions, whether it be like the outside X receiver position or an inside receiver, as you can see here, and putting them in motion to get them the ball with a head of steam. And it doesn't work here, but a nice play by Purdue to get him going. And it sets up a big, long 3rd and 17. And where do you go on 3rd and 17? You go to the true freshman, 18-year-old kid, who this is a perfect example of what you said. I hadn't picked up on it, but you can see him get down on this one right here. Ends up being short of the sticks, but I didn't realize he had taken a big shot.
It was close. He got his knee down, but I thought he got over. But, it was him avoiding contact. Because, honestly, what is anyone going to do in this situation? You see 4 guys bearing down on you. You're like, yeah, either I can jump cut back and hopefully they all run into each other like a 1940s cartoon, or I just get the first down, get down, and go.
Yeah, and he just is a little bit short. I thought he got it. Whatever, he doesn't get it. What was more impressive, Kev, is right here. The way this can happen, Purdue rushes 4. I believe it's 4. Yeah, Purdue brings 4, so they're dropping 7 into coverage. And when you do that, you need some time for these routes to develop, especially when you're doing a sticks concept at 17 yards. Look at this pocket, Kev. I mean, everybody just winning their one-on-ones and their two-on-ones. I mean, this is exactly how you draw it up.
Yep, and then you're doing so well. You've Donovan out there picking up a looping 3-tech that G. Scott just stonewalled at the line of scrimmage.
It's awesome. This is an awesome rep. Will does a good job of sliding in the pocket, moving a guy, getting the window open, delivering a good ball. Jeremiah, just give me an extra 6 inches, and we're moving the sticks.
Yep.
All right, Kev, the moment you've been waiting for. Here we go. We shouted you out last night. I know you were going crazy. We started texting about this immediately. Ohio State using a little motion, a little play action, a long developing play. The offensive line's holding up. G gets out into the flat, delivers it.
Yep.
Bang, your boy's in the end zone.
This is a very hard play to people. Someone said I could have scored that touchdown. I'm like, no, you couldn't, because watch G for this entire play. You have to sell run for 3-4, seconds maybe. I don't know. Maybe it's more like 2 or 3. But, then you got to be able to get through all the mud. You're selling run, and you have to be able to keep your feet, get through it all, and take off, which is – that's a hard thing to do, and he does a great job of it there. He got out at the perfect time, came through.
Dude, joking aside, if you pause it right here and you're like, all right, somebody scores a touchdown on this play, you're like, it's certainly not the guy who's stuck up in here. Like,
you're thinking it's Jeremiah who's running into the end zone.
Mm-hmm. And it's just an awesome job. Good patience by him to not panic and just kind of stick to it. Also, incredible. Like Will made a did a good job of shouting out the guys up front. I thought they were great yesterday. But this is awesome. This play takes a lot of time. Like, you've got a battle in there. I don't know who that is. It looks like it could be Seth inside, just on a one-on-one hand fight right in the middle.
Yeah.
Just awesome stuff.
Yeah, you got Durrani Thurman blocking well here. It's a good, well-designed play. Selfless, and G. Scott, best tight end of football right there.
Our boy gets in the crib. Our boy, we need to get him on the show, dude. That's what we need. Get G on the show.
I never seen any G. Scott interviews after the game.
He was on the podium yesterday, my guy. He was on the podium yesterday. He was big. He was the big dog. All right, for all young quarterbacks at home, protect yourself. Stay safe, because these safeties love to hit, and when they get an opportunity to do so, they are going to lay you out. And Lathan gets a good one here, and this is as textbook as it gets. Everyone was when the hit happened, just because football has become, hey, if there's a big hit, it's targeting. Yep. He hit him perfectly in the strike zone, kept his head out of it, and absolutely lit up Hudson Cardi. This is a kill shot.
I thought it was targeting. They didn't show enough replays to warrant anyone else thinking it. I just saw it instantly. I'm like, oh no. And then Fox didn't show a good replay where it showed it not being targeting. So maybe it was borderline. They're like, we're not going to show the national media. So just don't worry about it. Power through. But I don't know. It was an unbelievable hit, that's for sure. And the fact that
you've gotten soft in your old age.
No, I haven't. I've just gotten realistic in the fact that if you're going to call who got targeting week 2, was it Caleb or something, or maybe it was Lipton?
Yeah,
crazy. If you called that,
actually it was Denzel. Actually,
it was Denzel Burke. If you're going to call him for targeting on that soft play, this is a no-brainer, especially with it being a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
You can barely touch quarterbacks, those pretty boys.
Oh, good hit there. Good hit by Lathan. And then Ohio State gets really good pressure here. And I remember this one live because if you see Jack looping here, let's focus on the back end of the defense first. If Jack doesn't get home, this route right here where my cursor is kind of floating, this receiver was on a full head of steam and caught Jordan Hancock flat-footed. Like, he was going to be gone. I had my eyes on it for whatever reason. And he won big, but it doesn't matter because Jack does an awesome job with a great loop down here, great twist, and gets home scot-free. And him and Sonny tag up for a sack here.
Looking like another great Columbus native who just got paid a lot of money by the Denver Broncos. Jonathan Cooper, Escler, right there, looping around with a full head of steam, fast twitch, fast guy, and then came barreling in.
And we know it happened. We all saw the personal foul afterwards. But so this is how that drive extended. And this is the drive that went with 13 plays, 30 yards, and it took 6 minutes and 50 seconds. And why I keep harping on that, it's so important because, like, in this game, it's 14-0. Like, we're right before half. Like, This is still a football game. Like, if Purdue breaks a tackle and scores a touchdown, or it can still get really weird here. And Purdue was doing a good job of squeezing the air out of the ball, but Ohio State's defense kept answering the bell, and they do so again here. Similar blitz where they bring a couple off the bottom of your screen, and looks like Jordan Hancock gets helicoptered, but gets up and still makes a sack.
Oh, yeah, that's the best, is when you can cut block. A lot of cut block. It's a textbook cut block. It's just a good athlete right there.
Hey, that's got to be so deflating for the running back to be like, "Oh, I did my job," and you get up.
Perfect.
By the time you roll up, you're like, "Oh no, you got to be
kidding me!" Yeah.
And to that point, though, credit to the Ohio State secondary, right? You got no dudes open, plastered, and obviously the fourth receiver in the screens is plastered up. And this is big. This was 4th down, so you see it here. Boys are buzzing. Boys are hyped right here, and flip it back over to the offense. So a huge sequence, right? So for Purdue, you're like, all right, we had a chance. We're in scoring range. We don't get it. Let's just keep Ohio State out of the end zone. Conventional thought means put a bunch of dudes deep and just keep everything in front of you. But Ohio State goes against that and sees a box in here that's a 5-man box. There's only, when we talk about a box, well, that's a bad line. You talk about a box, it's right here from tackle to tackle. There's only 5 guys in it. For Ohio State, that's crazy numbers, and they take advantage of it right away.
I mean, yeah, I couldn't imagine what Chip Kelly thought when he saw this and he called this play. He's like, are they serious right now? Mm-hmm. And then Seth looking up, he's like, okay, everyone's man on, and I just get to go play it. Because it's 2-3 techniques. It's not even a 1 or a shade. That means there's that, boil it back a little bit. 2-3 techniques and 2-5 techniques mean 2 ends outside the tackles and then 2 D tackles between the guards and tackles, like in that gap. So there's nobody to either side of Seth except for the linebacker in the middle. And he just goes, all right, deal, and just runs up and takes it. And, I mean, I don't know what DC we talked about. I don't know how Brian Kelly made it off the field. I don't know how this DC made out the booth. After calling this play against this team, you're absolutely wild.
Yeah, and for Seth here, this is a block you simply just can't lose, because let's just say this linebacker wins over this way, Trey's cutting right here. Yep. Or if the linebacker goes this side, Trey's cutting here. So, like, for Seth, it's just get in the way, and wherever that guy wants to go, take him that way, and Trayvion's going to cut off your butt because there's nobody left. And that's a massive chunk. There's another 15-yard chunk for Trey to get things going. And Ohio State sticks with it, right? They don't pass it. What they do is they hand it right to – this is a similar look. Instead of the 5th guy being backed up, now you got 5 on the offensive line, on the D line, and then you got this one safety body robber in the middle. Yep. And this one is maybe take a little bit more communication, but still a similar idea where Ohio State's got numbers inside.
Yeah, this is the same defensive formation you saw on the first play that we watched on offense, where Jeremiah made it all the way up the sideline. I don't know what the play design is here with Jeremiah. It looks like he just stands there. But
that's I don't want to block. That's the I'm going to fake
it. It's like I'm going to pretend I'm catching. But and then you got, is that Quinshon? Quinshon, good yards here. I mean, it's fun having both these guys in there. It really is, because we've always utilized a 2 running back system where we give people some breathers and stuff, and it's usually kind of, I don't know, drop off's the right term, but the last time we had 2 guys that were this good around the ball, it was Mike Weber and J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, and they're very much so not even a 1-2 punch; it's a 1-1 punch, because they're both ones. I mean, these guys would be starters every program in the country. And it's good that they're having to share a little bit to, like we said, protect their bodies as the season's long. Hey, you want to give a shout out to your boy? Look on the hash mark. G up the hash.
Like I said,
G up the hash.
It's every time. He's the best tight end in the country. And it almost looks like they're doing a pass set into a run block. And Donovan Jackson, his seamless transition to left tackle is nothing short of remarkable.
There's no such thing as transitioning to left tackle seamlessly, and he's done it, right?
Yeah, it's like no one knows unless you've played it how hard it is to go from guard to tackle, how different it is, unless you're very talented. Like I've seen people move, I've seen people jump from guard to tackle to guard, all that, and it's not easy.
It's one of the hardest things to do. And playing left tackle, that's why they get paid the most money in all of NFL footballs, because it's the hardest position to play. All right, so now we get down in the red zone, and now it's you can see the top of the clock right below here. It's just at 1 minute, so Ohio State's got plenty of time. What you can't do as a quarterback here is go backwards. There's no sacks on a 2-minute drive, and there's no sacks, especially in the red zone. And this one's disappointing by Will, because the offensive line does their job. They hold up inside. This is a sack that they are getting credit for, or they're getting the blame for, but it's 100% on the quarterback. Like, there's no reason right here that this play ends in a sack, right? Everything's covered up. They do a nice job. You got to get all the way through your progression. Here's the throw. You see the throw coming open right here in that window. He goes to pull the trigger, but he's late on it, and because he's late on it, 91 is able to get his big paws up in the air. He's got to make the throw. Like, that's one where you're sitting in film. That throw
either make the throw or take off to the right, because there's nobody to the right. You have everyone coming to the left. Like, look at that. Like, once that guy gets caked by Donovan, just go, and then have someone else get open, because when you take off, it's going to open up Brandon Ennis, because they're all going to rush at you, and then you can dump it off to him. I mean, you saw Lamar do it at the end of the game for the Ravens. It's just, get creative, extend the play, and see what can happen.
And this is a good place to see the picture on the back end, because sometimes you're like, oh, I don't know if there's a safety back there. Like, there's no safety here in the middle of the field. Like, this is the one guy you'd be concerned about, and he flies up on Carnell. He attaches to Carnell Tate. This is where a guy who's a fifth-year senior, like, in my opinion, inexcusable. Like, all right, we get through this, covered up. You get through, covered, and we need to flip our hips, and this ball needs to be right here for whomever that is. I can't see a number, but catches it. I think it's Jeremiah. Catches it and scores a touchdown. Instead, we go back 8 yards, and thankfully, the very next play, Purdue says, we're going to go man coverage and just go man, 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 and this is the oldest play in the book. Every coach, whether it's at Pee Wee, high school, college, pro, has this in where it's a crosser, it's a deeper crosser, and a deeper crosser, and then you send this guy like this, and his corner has to chase him, and it is impossible to do, especially with speed. Jeremiah's the fastest dude on the field, and I'm telling you, Jeremiah said it in his post-gamer. Right now, at this point in the play, everybody on the field and everybody on the Ohio State sidelines knows this is going to be a touchdown, because it's as easy as it gets.
It's designed to somewhat be a mini pick, but no one picks him.
Yep.
And what's funny is if he doesn't throw this ball to Jeremiah, who is that? Is that Brandon Ennis? He's open too, or is that a Muka?
I think
Ennis is open. Scott gets open. And
that's in your brain. He's open.
He's always open. But like, look at if Ibuka keeps his feet here, he's got a touchdown too.
Yep.
Throw the ball.
There's touchdowns all over the field. That's why playing Ohio State man-to-man coverage is something I wouldn't do, especially on 3rd and 8. To their credit, they try to heat it up, but Ohio State's offensive line and running backs pick it up perfectly, man. This is as good as it gets. ID'd properly. Everybody knows who they're supposed to block. Travion fits in there well. This is a pocket right here that you have no chance to defend against.
I agree. And this was right after the Carson Hinsman went down.
Yeah.
Austin jumps in fresh.
I'm sure you had PTSD on that Hinsman play, but like, man, that was scary. He got thrown in. Like, oh, that's bad.
Oh, this sucks.
Yeah.
The worst.
His tweet was great. If you haven't seen it, I'd go check it out. He said, shout out to God and Don Joy Braces for saving my It's very good. All right, a little Brandon Tate, Carnell Tate Love. He needs it. He should have had a touchdown yesterday. Will missed him short, but a nice tough play. Catches the ball and almost squeaks away. Unable to there. But again, Ohio State's rolling at this point. 21-0. Come out of half. Let's go down here. Let's get a score. Oh, this one's bad. Will had a good joke about this. Everyone's blocked up. The worst things quarterbacks can do is try to scramble and clean pockets. Like, this is a clean pocket right now. Like, dude, chill out. Like, just chill out. Just hang out. You're good. You're fine. I see what you're doing, but he got so antsy, he's freaking out. Like, here's the lane to go get the first down, and instead he slips and falls.
Yep.
He had a good joke in the post game. Good joke in the post game. He's gonna have new cleats next week. He needs it because that one was a bad one for sure. All right, they kick a field goal, 24-0, and this was a nice play. Again, Denzel Burke kind of on the low end of this one. Again, he's been not struggling, I would say, but ever since that Oregon game where he kind of got a little exposed, and it hasn't been smooth sailing for him. And truth be told, I think this is decent coverage. Guy just makes an awesome play here and sets Purdue up with the chance to go score.
Yeah, I think our expectations for Denzel Burke are crazy high because of how he played his first couple of years, and he's slipped a little bit this year, but I still think he's one of the best corners in the nation. I think he's going to show it as season progresses. Yeah. But yeah, no, that's just it's been a little bit of a rocky seas for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, and it's tough. That position is really, really hard because when you mess up, everybody sees it for sure. But I think 2 plays later, Card gives it all back with just great coverage. I don't love this scheme. I love the idea. Here they go quads into the boundary, and they do some kind of a wheel concept. Doing this into a short side of the field, I think, is not to be disrespectful, very dumb because he is open. The problem is the safety only has to cover 10 yards, where if it was to the wide side of the field, it'd be much more wide open, and Latham makes him pay.
Yep. And Latham almost, we probably don't see it. On this return, there were some very good blocks that were.
No, we got that. Who's your favorite block?
It's not from this angle. There was. No. It was one of the D linemen was just fighting his ass off back and forth, and it was impressive.
Yeah,
he looked like a punt coverage blocker.
You just love to see that, especially those boys love it. They love to hunt too. When those interceptions happen as an offensive player, it's get your head on a swivel because you don't know what's coming your way. Yeah. And sometimes that can lead to like big personal fouls, like, move it all the way back type stuff. But good to see really good discipline there. All right, I put this one in here because truth be told, I didn't see this live. I was walking to the press conference room, and this is something I truthfully love to see because while it is kind of fluky, crazy, maybe unnecessary, if this is executed well, this is just anecdotally, I had a play like this in high school where it was legitimate. This is how we would run it, where it was a triple option. All this is triple option, right? He could hand it off or pull it. And then once you pull it, if this defender commits to you, you flip it backwards. This is a lateral. And it would have been a big play. I don't know if he scores, but it would have been a big play. Instead, Will would probably like this one back. But
I don't know if this is really on Will. I think that Carnell overran it a little bit.
He does. Yeah, you're right.
I think Carnell. This gave me Josh Allen and his rookie year playoff vibes. I was like, "What is going on?" I didn't know this was a design play. I'm like, "This is wild." I'm watching I can't hear the sound because at this point, I've gone to meet my cousin, and I'm like, "What is going on?"
A smash the buttons type of play.
Yeah,
like just hit every button on the controller to make something happen.
Wild.
And very. I don't know if Will got a tough hit inside there. You can kind of see him rolling around. Doesn't look all that good. But Carnell gets on the ball, moves it up the field. But if that's something that they continue to do, it's actually a good play because now the reason I put this in is because it's on tape now. And now corners, when they get this read option to them, they can't just fly in to make this tackle, right? Because they put it on tape now. Everyone you see is going to have to be very hesitant to do that, and that's going to buy Ohio State some extra yards.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here we go. There's another running back in motion. We're going to get a couple of these over the next few plays. But we go running back in motion, and then you go some kind of a wheel concept up the sidelines. I think this is so awesome. Ennis, the guy who ultimately catches the ball, comes from the backfield where he like bluffs a block and then gets up the sidelines. I think this is so good, using your weapons to open up the field. Accurate football, great catch there by Ennis. Bad fumble, but good catch.
Yep. Yeah, just only thing I'd say on this play is you got to hold on to the ball more. This is a good designed play action because you got double T there pulling, made everybody bite, and it worked.
It absolutely worked. And I know there were a couple of my buddies texted about, hey, Carnell was open. Yes, he was after the ball. The ball is flying through the air right now. Yeah. Yes, he breaks open. The ball is being caught at that moment. So really good design. Chip, I think, Chip is kind of getting into his like bag of tricks. Like, you starting to see the Chip Kelly impact. And here it is again. This is Quinshon starting as the number 1 wide receiver out here, coming in motion over the back. Will doing a full 360 spin, and then Trey hitting a counter up inside where we get some blockers inside like this. This is just awesome.
I mean, yeah, this is fantastic. Josh did a great job on that, keeping his feet moving. Double T kick out, Josh fill inside, throw down that safety, and just if number 4 isn't right there, that's a touchdown. I don't know how he read it all the way because that's a defensive end. He jumped back and read it all the way, or maybe it's a linebacker down on the line, but he jumps back, reads the whole thing, and goes, all right, well, I'm going to make a play here because that's a touchdown. Otherwise, that 31's not catching him. That's a touchdown.
That's a great call by you, man, because I didn't even recognize that he was the one who made the tackle. It was, I guess, right place, right time for him. Good eyes. But I think a great play design. This is – and, again, they just continue to build off these wrinkles because we just saw Quinshon come in motion. Now they split Trey out here, and now he's coming in motion. And what do? You reward him by handing him a jet sweep, and he finishes in pay dirt with just an awesome play. So you see when Chip has a new wrinkle, a new element into the game plan, there isn't just 1 or 2 plays on it. There's a couple that they just continue to build off of each other, do a nice job.
I think that's number 4 again. And they made the business decision, like, if you're Josh Fryer, like, go get the faster guy, get the edge. Yeah, that's number 4.
Yeah.
Like, he stiff arms him, knocks him off. You're not going to arm tackle him. And Josh does a great job getting on number 1, I think, out there. Not holding. Right there. Yep. Hands inside, not holding. And then once Trey leverages him, he lets him go. That's textbook right there. And look at Jeremiah block this guy. It's kind of a route, but then he turns it on and runs this guy into the end zone.
You love that.
That's how you score with your man.
Yeah. It's so good, man. Just a well drawn up play. And this one, at this point in the game, it was pretty well in hand, right? You go up 31-0. Let's go put 2 exclamation points on it. Let's get Jack Sawyer in the end zone. First time since he was a senior in high school. JTT punches that thing out. Jack picks it up. It's a scoop. It's a score. And the boys are buzzing in the end zone.
That's awesome. Now, you love to see that, especially
so good
on the O-line. Seeing a D lineman score is great. So much fun. JTT having a blast.
So there's a question. There's a question that I kind of like to dig into a little bit. Obviously, when you guys get into camp mode, offensive linemen, defensive linemen are every single day kind of banging heads, and there can be some let's call it rivalries that develop between guys. But as the season progresses, do you guys become like almost like
I'd reference
it, fans?
I'd reference it too. I don't know if many people have seen it. I doubt they have. Maybe they have. There's a movie where it's called Thor Ragnarok, where in the first Avengers, Loki gets swung around, smashed on the ground by the Hulk, and then in that movie, Thor gets done it, and Loki stands up and starts screaming. That's how it feels. that's kind of the energy you have, where you're getting beat up by these guys all camp. They're beating up on you, and it goes both ways. You're like, this is what I've had to deal with for the last 4 months, and now you got to deal with it. And that's kind of the energy you get. You have a lot of fun. It's just, even during the week, you're still a little bit of rivalry when you're doing pass rush and one-on-ones and stuff like that. It's just competitive. I don't know if rivalry is the right term, but it's always competitive.
Yeah, that's so cool, man. That's so cool. And for Ohio State, let's get one more in the end zone. It's very funny to me, and it's funny now because they won big, but Will's biggest problem at this point is throwing the deep ball. He gets one here, but it's to a running back because it's hard to overthrow a running back. Or underthrow a running back, I should say. He almost does it here, but it's good to see this. Again, we talk about it as a wrinkle for using the running back and get in the backfield. They use it this time to throw Travion up the sidelines. They complete it. Number 4, I don't know. We just got on these last couple plays, but some good plays, some not so good ones for him. But Ohio State finishes it off. Emeka Egbuka yesterday, 1 catch, 10 yards, 1 touchdown. Probably not what he wanted, but hey, let everybody else cook today. Give the old man a day off.
Exactly. No, he had a good game. He had a lot of good outside blocks that are going to go unnoticed, except by the coaching staff. Mm-hmm. It wasn't his most productive game from a stat sheet, but when people go back to look at it that are going to be making decisions on paying him millions of dollars, they're going to be impressed by yesterday's effort out of Egbuka.
No doubt. And I think all around a very, very solid game, I would say. Not perfect by any means, but very solid. Will Howard finishes the day 21 of 26 for 260 yards, 3 touchdowns, and then one touchdown on the ground where he was 9 carries for 7 yards and that 1 score. Travion Henderson, 6 carries, 85 yards and a touchdown. Quinn Sean, 11 for 32. And then on the receiving end, Jeremiah, 6 for 87 and a score. Carnell, 6 for 56. Travion, 3 for 43. And then G. Scott, 1 for 15 and 1 score to go along with Emeka. This is 1. It's your boy.
It's everybody's boy.
A pro tight end podcast. We always will be. No, appreciate everybody jumping in and hanging out with us this morning as we get you set for some NFL football, a little appetizer for you, because I know for a fact you're not watching the Giants and Panthers play in Munich, Germany today. But we got another big week coming your way. Ohio State heads to Chicago for what's going to be an awesome week. They're playing in Wrigley Field. If you're going, I'm jealous because it's like the biggest college football brand playing in the best baseball stadium of all time. Going to be absolutely spectacular. We'll be back with our normal cadence all throughout the week. We'll be back with you on Tuesday and Thursday. And then this weekend, it's going to be maybe a little differently. I will not be on camera this weekend. I know Brennan's going to be at the game. I know, Kevin, you're going to be gallivanting the streets of Chicago. So we'll figure it out, but we'll have you covered regardless. We'll definitely have some content coming your way from on site at Wrigley Field come Saturday afternoon. So Kevin, before we get out of here, any final thoughts as we close the book on Purdue and open the book on Northwestern?
No, I think this is exactly what you wanted to see this week. It was a thumping. It was maybe a slower paced thumping, but it was a thumping nonetheless. And I think that you just got to continue to build. And I would be shocked if it's any different against Northwestern because they both played each other pretty evenly last weekend. So I figured it's going to be similar.
Yeah, and what's going to be cool, too, on Saturday, while you are going to Chicago and you are going to Wrigley Field, I have a feeling it's going to feel like an Ohio State home game because there's going to be a ton of Buckeyes heading out that way, filling up the bleachers and all the stands at Wrigley Field. So it's going to be a special week, and we're excited to be along for the ride with it. So we'll shut the door on this. Ohio State gets a huge win yesterday, 45-0 over Purdue. Remember to subscribe to this channel. Check out all of our written work at si.com/college/Ohio State as we get you covered this week and the weeks beyond covering the Ohio State Buckeyes. So for my partner, Kevin Woidke, I'm Anthony Moeglin. Thanks again for hanging out with us on this episode of the Buckeye Breakdown Podcast.